Welcome back to the VALORANT Champions Tour, where the top teams from around the globe compete to become the next world champion. New here, we've got you. Here is everything you need to know to get plugged into the 2025 season.
Oh, the play's being made!
With new teams earning promotions across EMEA, Pacific, CN, and Americas, this season brings our biggest year of competition ever. In 2025, teams will compete across a series of international league matches and global events to secure qualification for Champions Paris, where the next VALORANT World Champion will be crowned. To ensure that both long-term consistency and recent performance are awarded throughout the season, teams can now qualify for champions from their league in two ways. The first, by finishing in the top 2 at the final playoffs of the season, or by being among the top 2 teams with the most championship points who haven't already qualified through playoffs. Similar to last year, championship points will be distributed across every stage and competition, but now with some changes. Regular season matches will continue to give 1 point per regular season win, while major events like Kickoff, Playoffs, and Masters will now reward multiple teams. The IL Playoffs and Kickoff will grant points to the top 4 teams, while Masters Bangkok and Masters Toronto will recognize the top 4 teams and top 6 teams with points. Now, let's talk about the season. We'll get things started with kickoff tournaments in each league, taking place between January 11th and February 9th. The top 2 teams from each league advance directly to Masters Bangkok, where we'll establish the frontrunners for the 2025 season. Next, we head into the first of 2 international league stages. The top 3 finishers from each league's Stage 1 playoff will compete at Masters Toronto. Following Masters Toronto, it's time for International League Stage 2. Each league's top 2 teams in Stage 2 playoffs, plus 2 more teams based on championship points, will join the competition in Paris. 48 teams, 3 international events, 1 world champion. Get ready for VCT 2025.
Hello everybody and welcome back to VCT EMEA. We are coming to you live from the Riot Games Arena in Berlin, Germany. And after a long off-season, it's time to see which teams will triumph in 2025. Hello everyone, I'm your host Yingsu and I'm back in the studio. So excited, by the way, to be back in the studio here with Kukuka and Billy. We've been doing this for 5 years. This is our 5th year. How exciting.
Crazy. I cannot believe that it's been 5 years already. Well, it's going to be 5 years in June. But Billy, honestly, welcome. How do you find the studio? I mean, you were here for Ascension.
Yeah, literally. It feels like we were here not even that long ago. Off-season went by so quickly, I feel like. I mean, it might have felt longer for others, but yeah, I'm excited to be back.
I mean, our producer was very sure that we were going to win everything this year. He says it every year. Do you believe that? Are we going to win everything this year?
How about we wait and see what's going to happen in Kickoff?
No, Kukuka, you tell me right now.
We're going to win everything. Absolutely every single trophy is going to come EMEA.
I feel like I can't just not say
you were just hired. You cannot.
We're winning it all. We're winning it all.
Exactly.
Yes, we are winning it all indeed. But before we go any further, we must talk about the new agent, of course, Teho. We try to get, some coaches and also people with a brain to break down his kit, but sadly, they were all busy. So here's Tombiz.
Have you had an accident in ranked that wasn't your fault? Do you get flamed for only playing Duelist?
Haha, what a noob.
Do people laugh at you for not being able to play Initiator? Well, with Teo, those worries are a thing of the past. No lineup, no problem. Teo does all the work for you. At just the click of a button, you activate Guided Salvo, a guided missile system for all your lineup needs, be it at the take of a site or the post-plant of a round.
One enemy.
With Teo's all-new delivery system, you'll be leaving your enemies stunned at just how skillful you can be. Have you ever missed a drone shot playing Sova? Well, never again, as Teo's stealth drone clears all angles with just the push of a button.
One suppressed.
And if all else fails, why not just airstrike those pesky enemies with Armageddon, the quick and easy way to deal with any opponent.
Remaining.
Disclaimer.
Tayo's abilities do still require basic understanding of the game. Also, if you're not quick enough to insta-log him, you may not be able to play him and have to play something else instead.
So what are you waiting for? Join Tayo today and become who you were meant to be.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those filthy interlockers. I have become a Taeho main. Now, what do you make of Taeho, Billy?
Yeah, I really like Taeho. I think that he can offer a lot for a team. He can create space that maybe a duelist wouldn't be able to. Like, he's got all of the kit available to him. I think that we're gonna see him in a lot of site executes, and he's gonna be really useful in the post plants as well.
So that's the thing, right? It's the balance between the two. You can have something that doesn't require a lot of skill in the sense that you do not need to learn the lineups. Everything's going to be pretty easy for you to understand. That's also why it's so important, right, for Kickoff. Billy, you're mentioning not only the executes, also the post plan. With all the new additions that we have into the game, remember that there's a bunch of new things that we still haven't seen regionally in EMEA, and also the fact that the damage from the salvo stacks. It's, let's be honest, it's extremely overpowered. I think that could be meta-defying, at least here in Kickoff.
Yeah, and I have to just mention, because I've seen a lot of people confused, of course, VCT CN, they started before us, but Tayo was not available to play in that region. He is, however, available to play here, which means we could see it on map 1 if teams want to do that. And speaking of teams and players that might play this agent, I'm expecting pretty much every team to, but Kukuka, do you have any early shouts of a player that you would like to see play him?
I mean, there's several ones. I decided to go for one. I know that we all chose one. But I will say, I don't know about you, I know I can convince you to change your pick. I know that you went for Angel, you will tell me in a second. I went for Shadows.
I'm convinced.
Because I know... Okay,
I'm convinced.
But seriously, I know that 2023 and 2024 were not easy years for Koi. And even though that happened, I think that Shadows and his individual performance was still up there. And especially thinking of an initiator that has this kind of characteristics, when we think about the Gambit that once won it all, it was Shadows on the initiator that was one of the difference makers. So even though we see this agents being played, I would like to see him pick him up because I think that individually he can exploit at the most.
Super convinced. You had me at Shadows, to be honest. But I'm going to throw some stats back at you because the player that's played the most variety of agents in our league of all time is this man behind me, Angel. Now, you might think he's on a team with Shao. Wouldn't it make sense for Shao to be the one to pick up Taeho? It would. However, it's Angel. Angel does what Angel wants. I mean, looking at the agents that he was playing last year, we saw this kind of change of Shao playing smokes, Angel playing the initiator, and I can just tell that when Taeho was released, he must have been rubbing his hands like, this is my chance.
Same with you.
I'm going to pop off. I'm going to pop off. Exactly. Yeah. So it wouldn't be a big surprise, right, if these two players pick it up. However, Billy, your pick is kind of
I'm interested in this.
Hear me out, hear me out. I know it's a spicy take, and I kind of compared like Taeho to a kind of duelist, and I'm interested to see how that kind of changes the meta. But if Vitality did want to experiment with a no duelist comp, and I know what you're thinking, why on earth would you pick up Derka and not run a duelist composition? I just think the equipment and utility that Taeho offers, you're able to run that without a duelist, right? You can run a no dive comp, he's able to clear out the space, and the drone, I was kind of comparing it to a Bimbot the other day, but it wouldn't be used in the sense that you'd follow up a Bimbot, right? You would use it to save it for the retake, right? Save it for the retake. The fact that it can suppress agents before they even start coming in for that post plant. Yeah, I can see Derka being able to support teams, but also the firepower that he has, I can see him playing.
All I'm going to say is you get every bragging right under the sun if this happens, because and also, I might be living in a different dimension in that case, but I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. I'm also here for Jimmy Lin. Who isn't for Jimmy Lin at this point? Because could talk me through the new map changes for Kuka.
Yeah, exactly. As we all know, Fracture is back. Lotus is also going to be back. Pearl is back as well. We're not going to miss Sen for at least a couple more months, and Sunset is out. Now, bear in mind, it's not only the fact that we're very happy that Fracture is back, because all of the possibilities, many things have changed within the game. Many agents that have been key to how Valorant has been developing have been either buffed or nerfed. We have Astra back with all the stars, the Neon nerf, also the changes to Viper. There's been an entire year, because it was in Champs 2023, the last time that we saw Fracture played in VCT. So of course, we're talking about 4 new agents that have come into the game, and of course it brings a lot of edge to the teams that have made a lot of changes, which is most of them.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have Fracture back. I hate playing it, love watching it, and like you say, I'm interested to see how the meta shifts now that Fracture's back with all the new agents. And I mean, Astra buff is going to be huge. We did have Clove introduced last year, but I think Astra buff is a big one.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to seeing what Potter is going to do on this map and what else we can copy from them. And speaking of them, speaking of our friends from across the pond, I want to give a warm welcome to all of the imports from VCT EMEA Americas and say a big thank you for your region being so uncompetitive that these players have decided to come over here. Am I right, Billy? Am I right?
I don't want to cause arguments. This is my first day on the front.
Oh, you can do it. You can do it. It's just America. They won't come here. Don't worry.
But in saying that, I love that Fly has come across. I'm really interested to see how an American IGL fits in with the EMEA dynamic. Obviously, we have to talk about Fluorescent. Like, I'm so excited to see Fluorescent on this stage.
She's one of us now. She's the
and like obviously. She was here and won a trophy literally only a couple of months ago. So if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Fluorescent. So those are the two kind of imports that I'm looking out for.
I mean, also Crashes, of course.
It's not real. It doesn't seem real.
Man, with like seeing the jerseys and seeing Sadak in the Casey one, you know when we were talking about how little IGLs we had, we stole a couple of them, being like, yes, as if it's nothing. I think that is going to make the region not only more competitive but more interesting, which at the end of the day is what we're all here for.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And speaking of, let's take a look at the bracket and see where these players could potentially match up to as we go. I'm not gonna lie, my eyes, Kakuka, immediately go to that KC Na'Vi Vitality bracket. That's just gotta be a crazy way to start your season.
And it's crazy for any of the teams that we're going to see in the first 2 days, because right after you're gonna have to go against the top 4 from the previous year. And think about it and just read the names of who's waiting on the other side. Foot, Vitality, Fnatic, and Heretics. Honestly, pick your poison. None of them are easy.
Yeah, and let's just jump even straight into this and talk about the opening matchup of 2025, and of course BBL versus GX. Now, normally when we see BBL here, there are always some question marks about how they could turn their year around. And Billy, we got to be pretty excited for the new roster they built in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. They've had a major revamp and they've kind of steered away from that majority Turkish roster, which is interesting for me. You know, we look at talent within VCT EMEA and a lot of them are Turkish players. So yeah, it's a complete revamp. It's a kind of new chapter for Yampi as well in that IGL position, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. And of course, these pickup of sort of VCL players that are coming up as well. And we don't have Chiwa today. We do have the stand-in of VAC, which I'm a little bit sad about. I was looking forward to seeing Chiwa, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can get up to.
It's a good replacement. My eyes, Sue, you know where they're going. It's perfect. We were talking about it. Yeah, but he's not playing Italy. It's okay. No, but seriously, I really want to see what Profek. We're seeing it right behind Yampi here on the screen.
Why is he not in blue? What is this?
Yeah, it's so weird. But, you know, he was one of the most desired players from the Tier 2 here in EMEA. We've had a lot of pickups from there. I want to see what they've built up and how much of this emergency substitute is going to take a toll on them, knowing how important Kickoff is.
Yeah, and of course, as you guys saw on your screen, it is VAC coming here instead of Chiwa, and VAC is not an inexperienced player. VAC was there from day 1. He's played against and with anyone and everyone. However, when it comes to this IGL battle, Yampi will be going up against Cloud, and at this point, Bear, is he, like, he's IGL'd a little bit?
And I think that he's been growing in so many different environments and so many different agents. He has always been wanting to be that do-it-all, Mr. Being able to achieve and to give you that kind of edge when you need it. He was the last standing member of that initial Team Liquid roster that we all once were very excited for. But this is the new frontier for him. Going on to a new organization, picking up this new role, I really want to see if that also is going to have an impact on his gameplay at his individual level.
Yeah, and I like that GX, they got their roster early, you know, they completed all their signings, their transfers, they were grinding in the off-season, and I want to call out every single person's tier list I've seen that didn't put my boy Westside at least B or A tier, because he is really, really good. Yeah. And Billy, they could do some damage, this team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got a couple of champs attendees in this roster, right? And you've got 3 players that came up from VCL last year, and they've managed to retain that VCT status, which is another interesting thing that I think. So I think the player that I really like on this GX side side is Tamazi coming over from KC. I feel as though that we didn't really get to see a chance of what Tamazi could do under KC because they won that kickoff last year and then they kind of bombed out a little bit early for the rest of the year. So I'm excited to see how he performs under Cloud's leadership.
I'm completely with you. What Westside achieved in 2 years, going from nothing to tier 1, is almost unheard of. I know that we have a lot of young talent, but I also agree with you. I think that Tamazi's flexibility is always at stake.
Yeah, it's weird to hear from Casey instead of Saw. But the wait is finally over. It's time to officially kick off the greatest league in Valorant. It's VCT EMEA.
Every team dreams of making it to the top, but only the best succeed.
A good team never stops trying. A great team never stops learning.
This year, we don't come to play. We come to win. Against all odds.
Diğer takımdaki Türk kardeşlerimizi tabii ki seviyoruz. Ancak eve oturup doğru konuşalım. En iyisi biziz.
Tanto hablar de novatos, tanto postureo. Lo que importa son los resultados.
Above all else, we're more than just 5 players. We're mates. We're unstoppable.
Succeeding in Valorant takes more than good aim. Bunun için özveri, tutku ve oyun sevgisi gerekiyor.
Taking initiative means taking risks. Calculated, meaningful, but risk nevertheless.
As a player, you can feel alone, act alone. But as a team, you're in it together.
When the spotlight fades, that's when winners are born. When you put in the work that no one else sees.
If you think you know us, think again. This year, we'll take what's ours. We'll take it home.
There are no second chances. Only second places. We've learned our lesson. Have you?
With me.
There are a lot of new faces on this stage today alongside some returning veterans as well. This will be a big test to see if the off-season changes will pay off and set a tone for how the rest of the year could potentially go, because as we remember, this tournament is all about qualifying for Bangkok, and with 2 slots on the line, Kakuka, it is so hard.
And not only that, 2 slots on the line, but you also get points if you get up to 4th, so definitely the battle is still there. We know that there's a lot of rosters with a lot of changes within the region, and apparently we're going to jump straight into the map Vita. Oh, come on,
We're
guys.
never going to see GX play Abyss ever.
Okay, we're going to see Lotus, and that is, I think that puts the Tejo stakes pretty high.
yeah, I like that we're going to see Lois. They're really throwing us right into the swing of things. I am sad that BBL decided, actually, no fracture for us today. So, yeah, no, and Pearl is a decider as well. This is really nice.
I hope everybody learned enough about from Jamie Lynn. But yeah, it makes sense, even with the little data that we have, for GX to pick this Lotus, because it was one of their best maps last year. And knowing that you're keeping that core and you're just improving that situation for this opening match makes a lot of sense for BBL, probably Haven. Maybe they have something very prepared, or they want to go with something very, very simple. But do not forget, we can get the first Deco, the first Vice, many crazy things.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Lotus at some point kind of got a little bit stale with some of the comps we saw.
Not for Foot.
Yeah, not for Foot, of course, or KC. But as we head into the first map of 2025, with all the changes in mind, with all the new players in mind, surely we're not going to get, you know, the KJ, the Neon. Things are going to be a bit more different.
Yeah, especially, you know, we can bring back the subject of the Neon. There's, again, so many things that have changed within so many agents in so little time that, of course, teams want to stay on top. We know that Deco was only released about a week, a little bit more than a week now. And if you were able to think about what you wanted to do with the agent, if you also had the player who was willing to play it and also everybody else to learn the new protocols around it, it could definitely be a difference maker today.
Yeah, I think so. I like the fact that you brought up KJ as well, because when I'm looking at Sentinels like KJ, Cypher, those are the ones that Tejo can kind of easily dismantle, I suppose. So it will be interesting to see what they pick going into this agent select.
Oh,
we're going to see Vice.
We are going to see Vice, and it is Runner on Vice instead of Westside. I would have probably put my money on Westside being on the Vice, but of course on the other side of this as well, Vac is just kind of slotting in for Chiwa.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense. He has the agent pool to provide this. It's probably the best pickup that they could have had for that. Runner on the Vice on the other side. Seeing the Viper here, something that we did not see in EMEA at the end of the year that much. And pairing it with this, not having the Killjoy on any of the sides, it's gonna feel a little bit different, but we understand the post plan that Giant X is going to have.
Yeah, I really like this. I am a little sad that we're not going to see any Tejo in the first map of the season, but you know what? I don't mind it. I feel like there's a lot of trap plays that you can use with both of these compositions, right? Both teams deciding to run that fade and that raise. Really nice setups that you can get on that A defense pressure initially. And Breach as well for BBL. I'm not surprised to see Yampy on the Breach whatsoever. It's always kind of suited his playstyle. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this one.
I would honestly go as far as saying this Yampy Breach could really be something that holds them together. He is fantastic. On Lotus, specifically with this Breach, he's played it like 10 times at this point. Yeah. Very high win rate. On the IGL though, however, this time around. So does that change anything?
I don't think so. I think that he's going to have more autonomy, and just instead of saying I'm gonna stun in 3 seconds, to just say stunt go. You know, like keeping the pace up. I think that could be a difference maker as well. And on the other side, we were talking about Tomazi, and I was just thinking he started as a duelist, moved on to a sentinel. Now he's playing smokes. Is there anything that this kid cannot do?
Well, I mean, maybe we'll see. Maybe a Tejo in there. But here we go. Like I said, a lot of new faces here, but also some returning ones as well. The two casters who I love that will never change. Also, guys, I don't want you to change. You're perfect just the way you are. Here is Mitchman and Tombiz.
Thank you very much, Yinsu. Yes, we've got a hell of a game lined up for you at home to kick off the 2025 season here in EMEA. Tom, I am so excited for this one. New faces for both of these organizations, and hopefully we'll see them hit new heights in 2025.
Yeah, and new look for Sue as well. That was the nicest toss I think we've ever had. Who paid her off or, you know, held her hostage for that one? Because I was not expecting that. But no, I'm super excited for this one. You've got some young blood. I think you look over at GX. I think the oldest player on the team is 21 years old. So this is a very young-looking roster, but with experience to back it up. And then you have players like Loon, who, for the most part, when it comes to Tier 1 matches, we really don't know how he's going to perform, how he's going to play. So I am really excited to see who comes out on top of this, because the off-season maybe suggested BBL, but with Chiwa missing, with having to bring Vac in, it could be a different story this time out.
And some of these players getting here a little later, how much prep of BBL managed to have and how much has changed since that 3-1 result over GX not that long ago. Well, we're going to find it out here. Lotus, our first battleground, GX's choice, and they're moving swiftly towards this A side, already taking quite a bit of space as West side does just the same on B. Now putting a bit of disarray in the BBL lines, and a retake seems to be the only choice left.
Planted. There.
Losing Yumpy as well, it is not ideal. If you're going to be trying to get back in, you want any supportive utility you can find. An initial trade is not going to be enough for that defensive side to try and get back in, and well, the super stand-in, the man looking to try and make a mark on the VCT. Someone who we've known pretty much since the very beginning of Valorant, but, well, if he wins this one, he will have put his name into the history books fairly quickly with a 1v4 pistol round to get their first round. I don't think it's going to be happening, and in fact, Westside will put him in the dirt.
It's always unfortunate as well, like we said, forced into a retake after just before the first engagement, almost with the utility that was down, and the player you end up losing is your breach. It's going to be pivotal for getting back into that side. And as we saw, it wasn't too easy without him. Now 1-0 start for GX, but we know how quickly things can spiral out of control. The question on our minds, do BBL force buy? And as we get back onto the server, you can see it doesn't seem to be the case. It's going to be a nice light investment and presumably a 2-0 start for the attacker side.
Already an early take of that A control. That's where a lot of people are talking about Tejo as a sort of an interesting pick in the future. The potential for early aggression and denial. For now, though, running that, well, quasi-double Sentinel, like having that Viper as an addition to the Vice being brought through, you expect slower pace from GX. They're not going to be rushing into things. A lot of it will have to be done by Cloud and Purple when they do go for those sort of plays. And for the defense in this round, they're kind of hoping they can get into a stack, like find out roughly where they're going and put the majority of their players there. They have a few small investments, Mitch, but expectations are incredibly low.
Yeah, you can see some of the dangers, potentially a player like Sociable on his own, but it's that little investment into the shorty that they hope will make it worthwhile. One barrel still loaded as Cloud rounded the corner, and it doesn't find its mark, at least not in a meaningful way. Some HP and shields stripped off that player, but GX, they found themselves the B site and a post plant with this setup, especially with the advantages in weaponry. This should be near impossible for BBL to take the round. The question is, can they make it costly? And they'll have to drop a lot of players to do that because GX have Cloud and Westside coming in with just pistols.
A little bit of extra utility to play with, but forcing them out of position is not going to be easy. A kill at least, but of course, Cloud only had himself a pistol. And other than that, it is squeaky clean for the side of GX. A solid start to this map. And I want to note something in this round. Obviously, Cloud only invests into a Sheriff, so it might not be a defining factor of rounds going forward. But he actually takes first contact. He's the one looking for those fights. And I do think sometimes when you see that sort of leadership value put on a player, like, okay, you're now the leader of the team, some players will do that, go like an angel. I'm going to go in first, and then I can sort of almost micromanage from the back line. So I want to see if that is going to be the case, because playing that fade, it allows him to maneuver a little bit more. He can be faster with his decision-making. And for everyone wondering, yes, Pansy is in the building.
Yes, of course, the standard practice. A little pausa technica to start us off, but early on in the game, it's not disrupting a big story arc. A 2-0 start for GX, and well, they get to kick back. Some weapons carried through as well. Nice, decent economic position. And as we come out of this pause, the question on BBL's mind is, how are they going to hit back? Defensive side, we could see a flare of that signature aggression early on to try and take the fight to GX. But the problem is, based on what we've seen, based on what we expect from this composition, like you pointed out, GX are not going to be moving fast. They're not going to be blitzing straight into sides. You expect this to be more of a slow burn. So any early aggression from you is likely going to be something that they're ready to combat.
Yeah, they're also incredibly scary when they get into those post plants as well. Like having the combination of Vice Viper, it's just nasty. Like you can delay so much with that utility. A lot of the time that you do wonder, when you don't have something like a Cypher to sort of control the map, you have to be that little bit more careful. So if you are fast-paced, you have to be sure that's where you're going. It's not so much, okay, let's double back, because you just don't have that information anymore. So again, it is going to be very interesting to see how they play. But I also just want to talk a little bit more about some of the players that they've got coming up here, because we talk about BBL. Up until this point, they have been a Turkish roster. They have been a team that hasn't really moved away from their own region, which you can kind of understand when you look at how much depth of talent there is within Turkey. They've also gone for the Turkish players they do have in sort of more interesting choices. I think Loon is someone that, again, we haven't seen a mass amount of in any sort of tier 1 capacity. So I'm looking at him solely. But then you talk about the likes of Profek, who, at least for me, was someone who fairly impressed when it came to Ascension. I think he was a solid pickup there. And then the obvious one is Yumpy, like someone who has been within the scene for a long time. I'm not going to lie, looking down at the stage and seeing him not in a Team Liquid jersey is weird. But also, he's taken over that leadership. And I know that in the past, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sliggy looked to make him an IGL. Looked at him as someone who has that level of intelligence to sort of manage a team and sort of take them with decent ideas in the right direction. So it really now just comes down to, have these teams both made their right choices? Is Cloud the right man for the job to lead GX to victory, with obviously some help from the coaching staff? And the same on the other side for Yumpy. Is this new role going to be something that makes him or breaks him?
And of course, you have to look towards the position that these squads are in as well. When we talk about the offseason, sure, they've been playing a little bit, and it's always hard to tell to what extent they're putting their real playbook into action and whether they're just testing something. But I think that as we come on through the format here, it's not as forgiving in Kickoff as Stage 1, Stage 2, where you're going to have your matches to prepare way in advance, where you're not going to be facing elimination on week 2, but it's possible one of these squads will be going down lower bracket. And I think for BBL, I want to see them coming in hot, but the problems that they've had behind the scenes are obviously something that's on everyone's mind. The fact that, you know, limited practice, travel restrictions, you've got Vac coming in here instead of Chiwa as well, who was a big member. Even when we saw him taking out something like a Breach, he was putting up numbers, but we know the man's a beast. The man is a beast, unfortunately. Yeah, we heard that far too often. But when it comes to the Sentinel role, that is just somewhere we're used to seeing Chiwa, and I think he's going to have huge impact when he makes his way here. Yeah. But for now, it's on Vac to fill that in again with limited time. But sometimes that can be a little bit of a honeymoon period, ends up taking the team. And well, look, we've seen players like Patatek, for example, do pretty well in the substitute position. So I'm excited for what Vac can bring, because thinking back to 2020, 2021, he was one of the most exciting players out there on the market.
Well, he's sort of someone as well who's played pretty much every role. So for any map, if they really wanted to try and swap him in and out, they could. Chiwa, though, is that Sentinel. He has been since day one Valorant all the way to now. He has been an incredible Cypher player, so he's difficult to replace. There's no doubt about it. For GX, well, spoke about if they're going to go fast, it has to almost be an all-in, and that's exactly what it is, straight into the C-side.
Oh, they're sending everything towards the side of BBL as Yumpy's found out the hard way, dropped, and Vac, well, forced to spam a smoke and then back out. This is a clean take from GX with a plant coming through, but BBL haven't lost hope yet. The flank is underway. One player thinned out, now down to just Sociable, and 2 lined up ready to take him down. GX reclaim the man advantage. 3 versus 2. Cloud almost grabs one through the wall, and well, now they're in a spot of bother. Loon can't push for a moment. Time ticks down, and with 2 players still to deal with on Mound, first they have to get rid of Cloud. It doesn't look like this is going to be an easy one to solve. A blast pack play is, well, ambitious from Loon. They're left in the dust. 3-0 start from the attacking side.
It does seem like that is going to be a trait of this team. You've got Purpo taking space, Cloud is the first fight. And the thing is, yeah, sure, most leaders you'd go, I don't want my IGL taking the point of contact. Cloud's individual skill, in my opinion, is someone who's still underrated. Like, he's been so good for so long. I don't think they had the best of years last year, so it wasn't really reflected in that manner. But I'm excited to see this work, because so far, he's 4-on-1, had a great start individually. And being on that attack side, with that sort of quasi-double Sentinel for the defense, this is a really good start for GX.
The firepower has been there, and it continues to. Cloud again, ripping the head off of the fade on the other side. A lot of utility taken out of BBL's hands early. And in a round like this, you really want your util if you've got any left. The pistols that are in play, not going to stand a great chance at most of these fights. Profek at least retrieves the Guardian. Doesn't look like they're going to be pushing towards him. That paranoia, though, isn't followed up on, and instead, they shift gear to the A side. Profek may have a chance to show what he's got.
He kind of needs to, but it's not going to get any easier. The fact is, GX playing this one nice and safe, not knowing if the site is clear. Sent through the ult. And wow, this is almost just looking like an easy cleanup. Hopeful maybe someone can get a kill. No, well, there you go. Profek has been able to do some damage. 2 kills to his name, but he needs a whole lot more.
Oh, I thought that could have been something. The Cloud wide swinging in. Takes a confident peek. 3 bullets left for Vac, and he is out of here just like that. A 4-0 start. This round was BBL taking pistols and 1 little investment to a Guardian. Let's look to the next, because that has to be where hope starts to brew for BBL. They're now going to pull rifles into play. and hopefully with that find some positive results. But Tom, the thing is, as this game's been going on and their economy's been sorting itself out, the same thing's been happening on the GX side. They're coming into this round one away from a showstopper. I think Purpo may be a little bit of a safety net for this squad if they do end up needing it.
Yeah, I think as well, just like every single opener has seemingly gone the way of GX. It's never going to be easy, especially on a map like Lotus, where you have 3 sites to defend, easy rotations across the map. If you lose that pick, you lose some space, but okay, Luke's just going to go walkabout. It didn't have any real support in utility there. That was just a dry peek before the smoke ballooned, and there you go. That's Purpo gone.
Showstopper brewed for the next round, but BBL doubled down on their advantages. GX, for the first time, seeing a real struggle, and they'd spread out into a default, looking for picks anywhere, and instead, picks have been found on them. They're left to hope that with the presence on B and C, the West Side can walk up. Cloud's, I mean, he's going incredibly aggressive. You would imagine most teams would look at West Side here as the win condition. Instead, Cloud tries to make his own look. That was a nice attempt, but Loon able to get the better of him, and all hope now rests in Westside getting some form of an advantage on A before that spike goes down.
Yeah, he's taken the space, but it is space that BBL are aware that they've given up. There's been a couple of opportunities to take down Loom, but he has survived a lot of them. Ultimate's not particularly close on either player as well, and with Loon having a showstopper, if it ever got dangerous, you feel like he would just pop that to make sure the round comes through clean. And already stunning up the player who's planting a paranoia as well. They know roughly where that last man's going to be standing. It is a clean sweep for the side of BBL for their first round.
A much better showing, and that's what we needed to see. The hope restored for this squad, because in some of those rounds, even the player cams we were cutting to, you could see the frustration building. And at 4-0, it's whatever, but you start to push up 6-7-0, that's when that frustration really boils over. Luckily, we missed the boiling point this time around, and BBL, well, they're simmering up, they're cooking something. Showstopper available, as we said, for Purpo after dying, but same can be said for Loon, so they're gonna match firepower in this round and put all their credits on the line.
Yeah, the good thing is as well, having that in-zone flawless to allow them to get right back onto the board. Keep the credits good as well, so if they lose this one, they're still going to be fine. It's not a complete death sentence. It's something. And we've already said with this map in general, you are looking at those attack side rounds anyway, so they're on the board. Can they now look to build from it? Already you can see that early aggression once more towards that rubble side of the map, but it does seem like more of a ruse. 4 players sat over there for the defense, and the attackers are rotating in another direction.
Well, this won't catch BBL off guard. Vac has been jump peeking this angle all round. His A and D keys are being worn out. Eventually, he spots his target, falls back, has his cam ready to catch them as they come in, confirm that this is still a hit. That information will be theirs in just a moment. Rotation's underway. Showstopper used to clear the site, but it's already given up. Purpo will find it hard to land an impactful rocket, but the crowd control of getting them a plan should be enough. And they also know where that trap is now. At least Loon, I believe he popped the showstopper. He went in for the fight, but that has not worked out. Caught out, Yumpy's in the same boat, and what looked to be a promising retake, now a challenge for the side of BBL.
Yeah, it just looks a little disjointed, and that might just be the death of them. Purpo waiting on the corner, Cloud on the cross, it's all falling apart. The round was 5v4 in their favor. Now all the stands are sociable, and he will not stand for long. That is seemingly more of a mistake on BBL's part rather than GX taking over the round.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that one unfold. Just a frame ahead was Loon in going in with the showstopper, and the fact that they shut him down so quickly. Actually, I don't think he even made it past the wall, so it didn't even block out the rest of the team. That could have been even worse. But still, the squad comes in from spawn.
It's good.
They go right back to spawn in the next round. 5-1. And for BBL, the hope that they found in round 5 may now start to show some cracks.
Yeah, we're also seeing like small little bits of that Vice utility that can sort of bring itself value, like having those deep razor vines put into play, like when you're trying to rotate through. Obviously, you kind of see Vac standing in it. it doesn't do much if you don't move, but it is just that slow effect. That's one of the sort of major things that have changed with it. It makes it more awkward to get into position, and you also take a little bit more damage as you do. So it's sort of what we said with GX. When you get into that post plant, the utility they have is great to really delay, slow, and make those fights that little bit more favorable. And we've seen that multiple times now where you have that cross waited for by Purpo, and then each time Cloud is just watching. If anybody takes a step too far, they are dead, because he's not been missing. Bear in mind, again, this is now him starting the season as that IGL. He's 9-3 at the top of the board. He's taken it in his stride.
The off-season work certainly paying off. I think he's just been on the aimbots the whole time.
The voice of Pipson is in the back of his head. Don't miss a shot. Don't you dare.
Well, we've just had a pause. The voice will be loudly in your ear at times. 5-1. GX building up a big lead on their map pick, and it's BBL's chance to respond. They've got rifles still, holding on to their economy. The firm grip for now, but that may slip in round 7. GX faking the B control, and look how many of BBL's players are there. 3 waiting for that B push, but no, it's coming in on C instead, and the pressure once again falls in the hands of Vac. He's standing in for this roster, doing a remarkable job damage-wise onto Purpo. They can't quite stop that site from being taken.
They're looking to isolate him, and they're not going to. He's managed to hold the line, take out Purple, and once again, an advantage into this one. An initial Nightfall utilized, but it's going to be used straight back to try and just slow that retake a little bit more, allow the attacking players of GX to get into those post plants. Again, you see that Razorvine just slowing them down a little bit more, but this time BBL are patient.
Yes, no one's gone ahead of the pack. Instead, they go together on the stuns. Loon, Sociable, putting up the numbers and leaving GX to try and recover in a 1v4. BBL, they're not going to let go without a serious fight. 5-2, still a lot of work to be done, but certainly inspiring faith with this round on the board.
Yeah, that was so much better as well. Like, Vac plays it smart. He realizes, okay, my team are nowhere near. If I go pushing into this one alone, try and take a 1v1 fight, I potentially throw away the entirety of the round, so he's incredibly patient. And then the rest of the team, you see like the counter Nightfall, utility being put in to slow them down, the Razorvine, they just go, nope, this time we're going to wait. We're going to play that man advantage. We're going to wait for the stun of Yumpy as well, which leaves that player in the back corner basically screwed. Much more controlled from the side of BBL, and that's what you want to see in those retakes. Again, still a 5-2 scoreline for GX, and there is no problems in terms of their finances.
Not a single player struggling in terms of credits. Again, global control for the side of GX. We've seen this before. 2-2-1. Leaving West side outside of A to lurk up and take control. That's been read by BBL, though, this time sending Loon to spot it out late. And even after finding the fight, he's not deterred. Wants to walk straight into the angle, but now GX are grouping up. They're looking to come and take that fight to it. 1-to-1 trade, it's not that bad. And there's a second player coming in to fill the spot and get aggressive. Profek creeping his way over. Unfortunately, look, GX have gone the other way.
Look at the overall control. Deep B main, 2 deep A. It's only really the C site that doesn't have an early warning system. And if they get spotted at any point, Sociable can get there incredibly fast. The only problem is if Vac can hold on again. This time he's much deeper within the site, but again, I believe that was another stun coming through from Yumpy to help him out. He's going to get that opener.
Completely surrounded, though, down to 3 HP, but holding on strong. Vac, the linchpin for this squad. In so many of the rounds, he's been doing the work on C, staying alive, buying them time, and this time, getting them the advantage. 3 versus 1. The plant for Tamazi, he knows that he can't just allow them to group up and take the retake. He wants to pick one player off, and he's done just that. Caught immediately by the trade, though. 5-3. BBL, the gap is now down to 2, and this is looking much more competitive.
Again, like, he might not be up there on the scoreboard at the moment, but Vac's done an impressive job over the last couple of rounds. 2 completely different ways to play, but you can see that the communication was there. As said, they waited with that stun. Perfect, thank you for the replay. And it just makes that kill safe. Like, he could have risked it, he could have taken it a little bit early on while he's being bombarded by bullets and utility, but instead he's patient and just holds on enough. A 2 trade there for his own life when he is against the whole team, not bad.
Early fight, Paranoia thrown down, and Sociable capitalizes on the players out of position. They walk through his wall, and now Profek's ready to greet him. His teammate having already fallen. 25 HP in the smoke, up to potentially cover his retreat, as we can see, just to cause a distraction. An extra angle they have to be worried about. And a swing on the back of the flash from his teammate, Yumpy. Gorgeous stuff for BBL. And a 3 versus 1 that they're left in. GX, they ran headfirst into a brick wall. No control given on A.
It's left onto a west side. Another newbie to the league, someone that, again, we haven't seen at that top level yet, but has been talked about an awful lot in terms of someone to watch. This is going to be a tough one, though. The second he goes for this peak, there should be a swing, and he's not even going to win that first battle. Yumpy takes him out. 4 rounds now for BBL, and the comeback looking great. And I have to say, it is really intriguing watching the sort of 2 different leadership styles from the IGL. As I said, we've seen a lot of early fights taken by Cloud, looking for the almost for the glory. Like, he's taking the individual battles, he's being set up by space taken from Purpo. Yumpy is the polar opposite. His whole role has been to play around the middle of the map and consistently stun ready for anybody around the map. Be that in this round, it was Prophet. We've seen it the round before for Vac. He is just the setup man. Even got a kill at the end.
Yeah, well, he's got 3 kills, but 7 assists up on the board, and you can see how impactful they've been. This player able to support B or A so quickly, and it's something that's going to have to be adapted to by GX. It looks like they just want to fight him. Walked straight into the B site, thrown utility. Yumpy's forced out of the door, and that sends him right into the waiting arms of Westside, who's hoping to catch him off guard, but that will not happen. Yumpy steps back into the fight, goes through the smoke for a duel. Drops 2, and that's a big risk to take in a round where they've got pistols. We've got an all pushed up on Mound. We've got Yumpy walking through smokes to fight them, but it was working. Now they've lost 2 players. Weapons not quite retrievable, but a plant will be found nonetheless. And with a Viper's Pit online, this round becomes extremely dangerous for BBL. It seemed like they had that locked down, but now an uphill battle once again for this BBL squad.
Yeah, this is the moment where clearly GX believe they can win this one. So Mazzy's got to be careful, trying to watch every single part of that Viper's Pit. He's been spammed through it. That's the one thing the pistols don't have. It's going to be left all onto Westside once again. Trying to hold on to this one. They're walking through that pit, so they'll be taking a decent amount of damage, but it doesn't matter in the end. Loom will be there. 1 shot to the head. And BBL, from what was a real daunting start to this map, have really gained back control.
Yeah, great repositioning by Loon inside the Viper's Pit. As soon as the snake bite went out and he knew exactly where he was, he just took that wider angle slightly off his opponent's screen. And that red highlight doesn't really help if you're not looking at them. A 5-5 scoreline now. And for GX, this game no doubt felt very easy starting it out. They were shutting down BBL every which way. I think 5-1 at one point, but now momentum's built up. And even in rounds where they have pistols and a huge advantage, they still have to fight tooth and nail to get it across the line. It's a close game, as represented by the scoreline. 2 left to play for in this half.
I can already tell Pow this year is going to be memeable. Just whenever the cams go down, I know we're going to make it happen. I wonder if this is going to be the first not so happy Pipson cam of the year. Then again, I feel like that's just default. He might not be happy, he might be having the best day of his life, but this is starting to look rough because it started really clean. Like, Cloud was pretty much running riot, getting an opening kill every single round, and now he's been caught up by Loon, as said, that 18-year-old Turkish talent. No one's ever said that line before. No, that's never been said. Never been said.
Out of Turkey, what?
No,
only
crazy,
every player.
Crazy. It does feel like the cheat code. It's like, well, I picked up a few Turkish players. Oh, they're all insane. No way. But no, Loon has been special. Like, definitely a few moments where you go, that might have been a little bit over the top. But I think that's why he's here. You want that explosive part to the rest of the nature of the team. And he is looking very good, even with the operator in hand. Once again, this round, I don't think it's getting any easier for GX.
Well, I think for Loon as well, operating at this level, playing against these teams, it's going to be a matter of you've got to push past the boundaries to really realize where they are. Sometimes he's going to try things that don't work, and you just have to hope he learns from those mistakes, but definitely want to see him take those aggressive stances, take those risks at time. Round 4 or 5 showstopper into C wasn't great, but since then we saw them patch up those issues.
Is he going to get ulted? Because you have to bear in mind, Visol, Steel Garden online, removing the weaponry. He'd be down to a pistol. It might not matter though, already. losing that lurk player, and this is the problem of not having a traditional Sentinel. They've just been slaughtered from the backlines, and Inzo flawless, and you've just taken a pause, and that's been the cleanest victory we've seen in all of the rounds.
Yeah, I have to say, the Odin flank is not something you'll see all too often. Had plenty of teammates there to help out, and again, maybe just the realization that this was going to be a round that GX had a game plan that they were going to set themselves up and then completely crumble those dominoes, but BBL adapt to it. They sense the free space on B, they walk it up and take the fight to them. No time to set up. I wonder if that changes the pacing of this round for GX. And maybe they won't set up as much and be a little bit more in your face. That could send them into the op. But in fact, the op's being dropped immediately.
Find you.
Not the start they were looking for. Already that space has been taken. Purple leading the way. Boombot's only going to clear the backlines. Not ideal, but the push back in from Vac achieves very little. Yumpy will find one, and in fact, a second as well. Eventually traded out, but this is now starting to look that little bit more possible. The ultimate's being thrown out by either side to try and steal away this final round. But again, after being delayed by utility, it's going to be a little bit more patient from this defensive side.
From being 5-1 down, a 6-6 half isn't that bad for BBL. You'll certainly be happy about the recovery, but the chance for the lead is still there. Sociable's Odin, Prof X rifle, the ones to put in the work. Paranoia's good. Sociable doesn't know about the player in the corner. Now spots both. Does damage. West side down to 7. But it's Profek who has to eliminate both remaining players. They know where he is now. No element of surprise. And West side 7 HP posted for the headshot. It is a 6-6 scoreline at the half. But for GX and how it started, that's going to put a sour taste in their mouth.
Yeah, for sure. They managed to get it over the line in the last, but that was a really impressive comeback from the side of BBL. I don't know. We now get to see if they're going to have that same sort of level when they head onto that attack side. Either way, we've got ourselves a short break, teams to recover, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, folks. It's time to kick off half number 2. BBL versus GX, and they are neck and neck. Might as well be the start of the game. But for GX, they wish it was. That's when they had a good time. 5-1 up in the lead, and then BBL caught right back up on them. A close game we anticipated, and it seems like the teams are delivering exactly as we'd hoped.
Yeah, I think this is where, though, I expect a little bit more from that combination of Vice Viper. I think like having that for the defensive side, you're going to have more of an anchor on either side, good opportunities to sort of create awkward positions, even if it's just by using that Viper screen across the map and basically having an element to delay your opponents. I think that that's going to be tougher than some of the more standardized composition we've seen, which normally favor the attack a bit more.
BBL now on the attack. As we saw from GX, like you said, Tom, it was slower attacks out of that squad, but now on the defense, so much value to bring to the table. Viper wall already bypassed by BBL, looking for a fight and finding it. It's Loon to open it up. A lot of headshots delivered. Profek left Tamazi solo, and it's Cloud that has to step up to the plate for the recovery. He's already done damage. He swings out wide, an aggressive stance again. We're used to seeing it from Cloud. The spams don't quite net him the result he was looking for. Left to 10 HP. Turns tail and leaves Runner to lock down that fight. 2v2.
They split up and look for clues, and that allows GX to actually isolate the battle. It was looking like an almost done deal before that fight. Maybe a bit of an oversight from Sociable, but clearly believes in his team in that post plant. Now, they've already used their utility. There isn't a lot to play with in this post. That aftershock is gone, although the stun has just come back online. And you can see again the slow stance of this defense as they try and figure out where those remaining attackers could be. They do have to get a move on, though.
Yeah, that time is starting to tick away. And now 10 HP on Cloud is all that remains. The stun is perfect as well. It's going to have to be one hell of a shot from Cloud. Another needs to be delivered, and it was close. For a second, I started to believe, but it is BBL walking away with the lead now 7-6 after a terrible start to this map. It must be a sensational feeling to now claim the lead early on in half number 2.
Yeah, I think any doubts about Luna already starting to be answered. It definitely looks like someone who can just have that crispy aim that you expect to see from the Turkish players, the headshot machines of the present day. And again, like, they're just caveating with the fact that they are currently playing with a stand-in. I don't think Vax look like one whatsoever. Loon already tagged desperately low, 5 HP, but he has got the opener for it.
5 HP left on Loon, though, and it's a wall bang to take him down. Wasn't to live much longer.
I feel like it's always Cloud in this position. Like every time, I've seen him get so many wallbang kills with Guardians, even maybe the odd Odin, but I don't feel like he's normally the catalyst of that weapon. Even does it with Sheriffs.
Oh. You're not going to lose that weapon for too long, but Profek, well, maybe it's cursed. He picks it up and straight away down to low HP. This is starting to look good for the side that came in with just pistols. They've done a lot of damage, a little more. 2 players on 15 health, but they will just about walk away with 3 alive.
Well, they didn't get the gun.
No, I don't think Vac did.
No, Vac went in the wrong direction. So the thing is, if they just lost the 2 players and kept all 3 weapons, it's fine. Okay, you have to rebuy a few shields. It's not the end of the world. They lose a gun as well. So that's an incredibly costly one for the side of BBL. Obviously, they're going to come into this one still with some weaponry to play with, and I see Loon still having that sniper in hand. I'm not too worried, but it is going to be a tough round for them to take over the line with GX now investing into all of that weaponry. And this is sort of what I was talking about. You've got these 3 more aggressive players, and then the 2 almost anchors, and a very aggressive push coming out from Tomasi and Cloud. They're just going all the way through here.
They've just taken the fight right up. BBL left down to just Vac on the other side of the map, out of the action, but about to be included. He's got a round to attempt a recovery of a Guardian and a 1v4 Cloud on 75 HP. Not much else to report back in terms of damage. Certainly an uphill battle. Starts with a headshot, maybe he has a chance, but it's a firing squad of 2 waiting on the contact of Cloud. Really nice setup. Should be difficult to survive, and well, it's a good thing they had that second or third, I suppose, player ready to peek.
Yeah, no, that, again, not bad at all. You're playing that as more of a bonus round than anything else, so coming out with 3 players dropped rather than just the 1 that was initial, it's not bad at all. I will say the defense in this one, though, like, Tomasi went out the door and just TP'd straight into rubble and went fighting. Almost a distraction for Cloud, who is still at the top of the ball, by the way. 17 and 12 playing that initiator. But it does just seem like their whole goal is, okay, Vice, you're going to lock down one part of the map. Okay, Viper, you're going to lock down the other. And then the rest of us are just going to go fighting somewhere.
It's only going to be west side towards A to start this round out. GX go aggressive on B, looking to catch out Loon. And although damage is done, oh, that nade might be decent on Tomasi. Only a trickle of damage, but Cloud left to 16. Very successful early fight. And with the utility put down and the presence on the other side, west side gave up A. It's now just a walk through for BBL and a plant with a showstopper to back it. Oh, with a showstopper to entry. Of course, they don't know that A is free, so it's going to be used to no effect.
Nightfall is there. A very fast retake coming up from that defensive side. already the whole team around this angle. They knew that this was going to be that A site take. The thing is, they haven't really capitalized off that ultimate. Finally, Runner will be there to get a kill, clearing Loon from the corner. It's not going to be easy, but pushing together, well-timed take is enough to get the advantage. Now all they need to do is convert.
5v3. Defuse already being tapped, pulling these players out into the open, but they're winning every fight. The advantage was huge, but now it's non-existent. The tap from West Side, the wrap is coming though. Propvec on him and taken down. West Side makes the impossible reality. It's 8-8 with a Red Bull clutch. I can't believe what I've just witnessed.
Just debut in the VCT, you can't be doing stuff like that. It just stunned up for both, but when you hit the one taps, it really doesn't matter how stunned you are in those fights. The thing is, it should have been over. It was a 5v3 post-part. You go, okay, easy pickings for GX now. They just have to work in synergy. He gets hit by a Rolling Thunder, hit by a stun, and then just hits filthy one taps, one of them through a wall. As said, this guy was hyped up. Someone coming from that tier 2, coming from Diamant, not really a team that you really saw even get towards that sort of ascension path, but this guy's pretty good.
Pipson just looked like he experienced happiness for the first time in years. I saw him. It wasn't quite a smile, but for Pipson, it was close enough. Quick push in. BBL looked to steal back the happiness they granted just moments ago. Oh, he got a taste of happiness, and now it's replaced. Although BBL, they don't get beat. But the rotations are pulled into effect, not off of the C site though. Still 2 players here, a third on his way. Damage good for Runner, won't give up the site, won't give them a weapon, and now the rest are locked out. BBL had some momentum after that first kill, but it has quickly fallen by the wayside.
Again, it just seems like the danger fell with Loon in that one. They do have themselves the outlaws to play with. Chance with a couple of tagged up players. Even actually, in fact, it's only Tomazi that actually has the heavy shield. So this is basically the 2-shot operator at this point.
30 seconds left.
A chance for him to potentially find a kill or two, but you can just see the angles that are being given up. They don't want to allow any favorable fight to be given over to that attacking side. And while for Yumpy, a pistol, Tomazi waiting for him on the other side. It was an opener and then one-way traffic in the other direction. GX have reclaimed their lead, but I'll be honest, for map 1 of VCT EMEA, it's been an absolute banger.
Yeah, you talk a lot about, for a lot of rookies coming in and players debuting on that stage, the nerves and players not delivering 100%. I think this is close to the opposite. We're seeing them step up to the challenge. Show us their best face with the best foot forward. 9-8, GX barely in the lead. But now, the real problem brewing. There's some ultimates for BBL, not many high impact ones, but the economy is low. If they lose this one, it could be devastating, and straight in is the fight from Purpo. Loon shuts him down, takes him out of the sky, and now an idea of those close players, although it seems like one has slipped through the cracks. Tomazi spotted now, though, and dealt with before that can get out of control. 9-9.
Guys, unfortunately, he doesn't manage to get more from that. Again, I want to give credit to the supportive utility of BBL. I feel like that has been a talking point throughout this game so far, but they are dead if not for Sociable. The reveal he throws gives people an image after they get hit by that. I think it was the paranoia left basically the whole team blind. That reveal just straight away makes it so it's not so dangerous. Look, watch. They know exactly where the players are coming from. If that reveal isn't sent, it is Purpo getting a multi-frag. They are all blind. They are screwed. So great work from Sociable. Heading back in to the round. It seems the attack are going to make their move towards this B site. Again, you've got West Side waiting. Some supportive utility to delay them a bit. That Razorvine, again, is going to slow them down.
Yeah, but I think they expect to run into that utility at this stage, especially going to round 19. A lot of your play early round is going to be removing those pieces that are in play for GX, leaving them guessing a little bit more. And there's been a very different approach, I think, to a lot of these early rounds coming out of BBL. GX were often doing a 2-2-1, just set up, looking to get West Side embedded on A or find picks across the map in their duos. BBL, on the other hand, seemed to have a much more 2-point approach, taking space here on A with the intention, I thought of going back, but it looks like the spike is coming towards them. The battle for Rubble could be everything in terms of the shape of this round, and with the resistance they've seen BBL go the other direction. The problem is there's been no rotations, Tom, and actually GX have seen with that fake presence on A for just a moment, they guess that it's the C site. Viper's pick goes down to greet them, and now you're locked in there with them.
It's almost left onto Loon, but we have seen so far in this match, this man does do his best work alone. He's not known for having a partner in crime. He is looking for that opener. He's trying to isolate. He needs to take that space. In fact, he's sort of a bit of a bait angle, but it might work out in the end. Runner holding the line, but they do get the plant in. Still into that 2 versus 2 scenario. Making this one possible for BBL. The setup from GX was nigh on perfect, but it seems to be falling apart. Yumpy trying to fight this one, but it's left onto Sociable, and with a showstopper up against him, he's got to try and tuck in, got to try and hide, avoid that rocket from catching him, but the time that's being bought as well allows the spike to get to half. He's got the timing almost spot on though, down to just a minuscule of HP. One in fact for Tamazi, just trying to cling to life, but he needs to hit the shot and he won't. It's another Red Bull clutch for the side of BBL as Sociable takes it over the line.
Masterclass in decision making from Sociable, the movement into the smoke to avoid the showstopper. He knew taking that fight was a big risk and probably he's getting traded out. Instead, hides and makes them gamble. They roll the dice and it lands Snake, guys. That's just a terrible situation. And that timing, you saw Purpo realize he must be coming around behind. He was already there. Crosshair on the head and lead again in BBL's lap. This has been neck and neck since we exited half one. It certainly didn't start that way. And these teams finding it hard to get any real distance on that score line. Just one round between them, but it could be extended to 2. With BBL coming in, rifles galore. GX have only got pistols, and the risk they take is a push-up on B. Although they do get a few shots off, more shots land on them.
Yeah, they have such a weaponry disadvantage, but the strategy almost seems the same. It's like have these anchors on either side and try and aggress elsewhere on the map. But BBL's so prepared for this. Although saying that, there is a slight gap. It's being held on the cross. Nice shot from Westside once again, but he's going to be dealt with. Does Loon expect the second play? He definitely does now. The paranoia has been heard. Doesn't have a bullet left in the clip, although it's definitely getting a little bit awkward. This fight is a peculiar one that ends up with both players alive. I wouldn't have predicted that at the start of it.
Utility everywhere, and it scared them away. GX giving up the control, but set up with pistols, looking to grab 2vx fights. Sociable's taking a big risk. He's walking it in right up into their face. Surely now he backs off.
30 seconds
Goes
left.
to the team. They'll push the A site together. They've seen some presence there. Fade already using a haunt on that A site. They know Omen's around this spot as well. Now thinking maybe B could be a little easier to access. Sociable testing that theory. Almost gets caught off. Instead, he finds the site free. And a 19 HP Cloud, all that remains of GX's defense. It is another one on the board for BBL and a team that was 5-1 down with a 2-round gap and 2 to win it.
I have to say, I am impressed with what I'm seeing from BBL in terms of their ability to not panic. Because you're talking about a team that has a brand new IGL, a stand-in, and a lot of young players and inexperienced players coming into the league. In those moments, that came down to 20 seconds. And ultimately, I feel like Sociable, for the most part, was just waiting for rotations. He was like, okay, someone's going to come here eventually. He ends up having to push to do it, but that could have got very dangerous, but they didn't look panicky. They waited for their utility, supported players as well, and ended up keeping the round nice and clean. 2 to the good now. BBL on GX's choice, a map where they started with such a massive advantage. Showstop has been expended immediately, and, well, for nothing.
Cage. No tangible reward, at least, as we move to the B site. Caught on the other side of that cage. A danger now for Tamazi. Paranoia ready. Waits for the util. Fire it out in response. Slow them down. 1:05 on the clock, though. It's not doing too much to stop them. Still got that cam looking for up close, and with a player embedded close, that's really what they're waiting for. The chance for someone like Sociable to rip a head off, for one player to overextend. It hasn't happened just yet. It's Loon that has to clear off the site by himself. Sociable's gone looking for someone to take down, while the squad on site are doing it all. 2 versus 4. Purpo and Runner. He's lined them up. Purpo with the double. That gives them a chance. A lifeline for GX with damage done onto Loon. Sociable. Well, he's going to have to find that impact to last you to imagine. Nice shot from Loon. And that opens the window for Sociable. Shutting GX out now 3 in a row for overtime and a map they started with a big advantage.
This kid's really good, isn't he? He's really good. 22 and 13, playing against, well, majority experienced players within the league, players that you'll highlight, the likes of Purpo, a Cloud, a Runner, all of them as high-impact aimers. I think Westside's already proven it. Loon's currently topping them all. The 18-year-old Turkish youngster brought in by BBL seems destined to be the star of the show.
Right there.
I was worried when we see Yumpy go down, but it was a bit disjointed from GX in their retake. A bit more individualistic. Purpo almost made that work, but now they need a whole lot more.
Rolling Thunder available. Got to keep your eye out, and that's what GX have done, playing off-site with Westside falling back off A, anticipating that this is the way they'll want to take the site.
That wall.
But instead, they see no contact. They walk out, take the fights just like that. And it's the Rifles winning it out across the board. GX left with a 2v5. Rolling Thunder still online to fall back on. BBL showing no cracks. They were slow to start, but quick to finish. 4 rounds in between. And GX, on their own map pick, started out 0-1.
Yeah, they finish it with an in-zone flawless as well. It was a shaky start, but a very clean finish for the side of BBL. And more importantly, as you said, they've just won their opponent's map choice with some youngsters, with not a lot of practice, and with a stand-in. I'll be honest, Mitch, I think GX need a break. So we'll head off to one to see if they can turn it around.
Red Bull gives you wings.